All right, hey everybody, this is Virgil Bunau. It sounds like Bunau, not later. I never know how to properly start these podcasts, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Um, Today's guest is no other than our very own Charleston photographer extraordinaire, the Kim Graham.
Hi, Virgil.
Hi,
I'm so
Kim.
happy to be here.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Thanks for driving all the way from. You live in West Ashley?
I do.
I know it's quite a drive to Somerville.
Well, just thank you for not asking me to do it at 8 a.m.
I know, yeah. The traffic's been kind of
Yeah.
crazy around here and people talk about it all the time, but I'm sure everywhere you go there's traffic.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be here. That's the point.
I know. Keep it somewhere else, right? So are you still a little nervous about the podcast thing?
Yeah, because, my comfort zone is on the other side of the camera. I like to tell the stories through the lens. And, yeah. So, yeah, I'm a little nervous. But once I get rolling, you can't shut me up. Don't
There
worry.
you go. Tell me about the little thing. I know we were talking before we started recording, and I was saving this question. I said, save your answer to us till I start recording. But I was asking you about, you were asked to do a TV spot.
No,
You and Gracie?
a little video production. It probably finished, edited, won't be more than like 2 minutes, but it took 2 days to film.
Oh,
So
wow.
Explore Charleston, the Charleston Visitors Bureau, they were doing several different people to highlight, Charleston personalities or the way to enjoy Charleston, the way to see Charleston. So they did it through the view of the photographer Kim and her daughter Gracie. And we got to go do things that we normally do, bicycle, be out in nature, go fishing, go to the beach, and do it all in front of a camera. So that was a little weird. Just be natural, Kim. Sure. How many times have I said that to people?
Wow.
But it's hard to do it. Just carry on like the camera's not in your face.
Where's the video gonna go?
They'll use it for
Any spots, I guess.
YouTube, Instagram, promotional things, whatever.
That's awesome.
I guess.
When
I'm
is it
so
gonna?
nervous.
When is it gonna start coming out, or when
I don't know.
when can we start
They're
seeing
pretty fast about getting it done, but the people who produce it are from London, and they're still here filming, so they have to go back home and do all that. So it may be a couple of months.
it? Wow.
But yeah,
Wow.
I feel honored that I was included in the select little group of people they chose.
That's awesome.
I think that the ladies at the CVB watch my Insta stories, and they kind of think I'm comfortable in front of the camera.
Well, your Insta stories, and I'm looking at my notes here. That's why one of the topics I want to talk about today. I love your Insta stories,
Thank you.
and it's actually honestly, it's one of the first things I see or watch when I'm having coffee in the morning. So I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoy it. So before we get started, I know you, I know your brand, I know you know for a long time, and the people out there probably don't know you yet. But tell me a little bit about you. I know you're a photographer, so tell our listeners a little about what you do and things like that.
I've been photographing professionally for 18 years. It started with weddings and portraits, and then it just kind of evolved naturally as my bride and grooms came back with families. People would come back into town on vacation and look me up, and so my business includes a whole different set of things than it did at the beginning, but it's mostly people related, headshots, so forth. My hobby of photography is shooting landscapes and buildings and all the things that I really enjoy about Charleston. And now people have started asking me to sell them prints of those things. So, kind of covers everything.
Right.
Like a jack of all trades. I hope an expert at something.
Right.
But, yeah, I've been a photographer for that long. I've lived in Charleston a lot longer. And before that, I was a lot of different people. Wore a lot of different hats.
That's awesome. Yeah, so this is one of the challenges. I don't know how many podcasts of mine have you listened to, but one of the challenges that we face here in the studio is sirens and trucks and Harleys. So I think I'm starting to like it. Don't you think, Josh? I'm starting to like the sound because it makes it more real.
It's garbage day. Welcome, people.
Tuesday is garbage day in downtown Somerville, and my wife reminded
that's
me this morning to take out the trash, so that's a good thing. But yeah, excuse the sound, and it gets crazy. But I'm gonna take my I'm gonna pull up your Instagram. So what is your handle for our
It
listeners out there?
is my name and photo. So Kim Graham photo.
So
No spaces, no underscore, just all run together.
cool. And that's your main account, right? I mean, you don't have any other accounts.
That's it.
Cool.
So when I started Instagram years ago, it was a hobby, and there were just really bad pictures with Instagram filters of random things like my kids and stuff. And I don't know, maybe my coffee. Maybe I was one of those people. But then I started curating it a little bit better and using more real photos from my camera. And now it's Charleston focused.
Right.
I will still throw in bits and pieces of like my family here and there, make it personal.
Mm-hmm.
My captions are personal. My pictures are Charleston. And then my Insta stories are just real life. Sometimes it's behind the scenes of my shooting, or sometimes it's just me getting something off my chest.
Right. And I love scrolling through yours, and I'm sure everyone does in Charleston, and everyone knows you. You
Well, thank
have
you.
a beautiful just feed every time I look at it. Beautiful images of Charleston. Normally, it looks like you're shooting. It looks like you get up at 4 a.m. and you're out there at sunrise.
Thank you. Yes.
It's beautiful.
I do a lot of that because, hey, number one, you beat the traffic, you beat the heat, you beat the tourists. It's the best time of day. So I'm a
Right.
morning person, and yes,
So
I do get
it's
up early.
it's Kim Graham photo. That's KIMGRAHAM photo.
Mm-hmm.
You have a pretty good following, Kim. That's pretty awesome. So
Thank you.
what is it like? How does it feel like? You mentioned earlier, I don't know when we were whether we were recording or not, but you mentioned that maybe the CVB people were watching your Instagram.
Right.
What is it like having all this following?
It doesn't really, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like sit around thinking about it. I do get a lot of interaction from my Instagram. I have made a lot of friends, like real friends. Some of them don't live here and some of them do. The coolest thing though is that it is a way for, I curate my feed for Charleston, but in a sense, I draw in the people who have similar interests as me. And so it's an excellent way to make friends and build a community of like-minded souls because, people who don't like me aren't going to follow me.
Right.
And therefore, if I'm getting messages and comments, they're usually from people I would love to talk to.
Right.
So it's fun. That part's fun. I don't really think about the numbers as much as I just think about how great it is to have a community of people who share similar interest.
Right. How do you know? I'm looking at. I mean, it's like so different every time. You have water. You have historic buildings. You have gates. How do you know what to post? You must. And then, are these all photos from your phone or different cameras?
These days, most of the pictures are from my camera, but my sunsets are often from my phone. I'm not sure why that is.
Your stories, you mean?
No, my actual posts.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All these are from your phone?
No.
No.
My sunsets.
Your sunsets. I'm sorry.
So I will.
Like this one right here.
Mm-hmm. Now that is a sunrise, and I shot that with my camera.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But like if I'm standing out at the marsh, like near my house, when I go for a little walk in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going with my big camera thinking photo shoot. I'm walking around with my phone in my back pocket, and I'll get a shot of it that way.
So, do you have an fancy iPhone 10 or?
No. I have a friend who was trying to show me how to use that yesterday, and I'm just not as techie as that. It'll come, but I have an iPhone 7 Plus.
Okay.
So it's big, which is perfect, and I think it takes great pictures. It does a really good job with sunsets.
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
I really, really think iPhone's does a great job with sunsets.
Now, you and I both know that we shoot in a lot of like difficult lighting situations where, no, that's not the go-to camera.
Yeah, it's not. But sometimes I cheat, and when it comes to a sunset,
Yes.
the big cameras. It takes so much
some
work.
editing later.
Some editing later,
Mm-hmm.
and so much work, and you have to really set it in certain setting. But with the phone.
It's
You just have to
HDR
point. Yeah.
capabilities. It likes to balance that bright against the dark and just pull from both really well.
I love that.
And it saturates it the way you can see it.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, with our cameras, we have to go back and edit that back in, like what we felt.
You have to upload the cards and then edit it.
Oh,
Load
goodness,
it
yeah.
up. Yeah.
And then
So-
that just kind of ruins the moment.
It does.
I'm in the sunset for the moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that, you know, going with that thought for a second, while I do try to be thoughtful about curating a feed that is congruent and says, you know, Charleston, I don't overthink every other aspect. I like to be in the moment. So I go where I want to go. I don't go shoot water because it's time for a water picture. I go to the water because I love the water. And the architecture I'm shooting is usually en route from shooting a client, point A to point B. So I'm downtown on Chalmers shooting them at this corner. They're freshening up, changing whatever they're doing. And I'm like, oh, what a pretty house. I'm going to shoot that while I'm waiting. And that is how I end up with all those pictures.
Well, how do you, I guess this is all mindset, but how do you, between point A and point B and all the jobs that you have to do at home, laundry, editing, how do you make yourself still shoot? Does that make sense?
It does.
My challenge is, it's like, all right, I've got so much crap to do on my to-do list, but I love shooting, and it's a beautiful day, and tomorrow it's going to be foggy, and it'll be awesome to just be out and photograph that. How do you make yourself do all that? Do you just say, you know what, I'm going to go out. Work's going to...
Well, this season, right, this is my first day off, and I'm doing this. And I don't really have a day off. But what I mean is this is my first day not shooting in like 2 weeks. So I'm going to go home and edit. And I'm not going to pick up my camera today, okay? But when I go out shooting, I work it into my lifestyle. So I'm meeting a client at 8 a.m. for a shoot. And that's been pretty consistent for the last week, is an 8 a.m. start time. Most people don't like to get up as early as me. I am really happy getting up early, so I get up extra early so I can go downtown, be there at sunrise, and then I have that extra time to shoot for me, and I'm ready for my client when they get there. So, you know, instead of sitting around watching television, I don't ever do that. I just take that little extra pinch of time and put it at the end or the beginning of a shoot.
So you're just intentional when it comes to these, and it's
my lifestyle, right? It's not on a to-do list. It's a lifestyle choice.
Right.
And I really enjoy being alone. So that means that I will make sure I get my alone time if I'm going to be spending all this time with people. It makes me a better person.
Right. But there's something a lot to say about that. That's awesome.
It
That's
works.
I think for a lot of people, especially photographers, it's like we're just so inundated with work and editing and business and life that sometimes some of us forget, hey, you know what, this was my first love at first before everything else happened. And
Well, you've got children and a wife. I've got one child who is like a free spirit herself. So she's the best companion. She'll go with me or she'll stay home and play with her friends. She's at a perfect age where she can be independent. And I don't have a spouse who has any need of my time. So, it's a season of life where I can do this. It has not always been my lifestyle. I have been the mom sitting in traffic, going to hockey practices every day, running home, take care of a husband. I don't have any of those things right now.
And that's awesome that Gracie loves going
Yeah.
with you. I love watching your IG stories, like where you guys go. It's like, where's Kim and Gracie going to be today? Where's their adventure going to be?
It's always so much fun. Well, she was going to come with me this morning, but she got an itch last night to squeeze all the lemons in the house, make lemonade, set up a stand, bake some brownies, and make some jewelry. She's like, I've got something for everyone that walks by. I mean, she's an entrepreneur. She's creative.
That's awesome.
And very independent. So that's what she's at home doing right now.
Oh, that's
Baking brownies.
How old is Gracie?
She's 11.
She's 11. She's so cute. Tell me a little bit about any photo collaboration, any workshop. I think I saw it on your IG. If you guys are not on Kim, if you're not following Kim yet, you have to follow her. It's such a fantastic Instagram account and Instagram stories that she's posting. Tell me a little bit about the photo collaboration you're doing. I think you were doing something collective, something.
Right. So there is a creative collaboration that's kind of new, maybe 6 months old now, called Charleston Creative Community. And the lady who dreamt of this is an artist. She paints. She is a member of my church, and so she was able to secure space to have these workshops inside of our church space. So that's also kind of a struggle, is to figure out how are you going to rent space and make these things happen and make it affordable. So anyway, it's all worked out really well. It makes these classes very affordable to people, but she brings in artists of all kinds, like leatherworking and terrarium building and flower crown, and I mean just anything that you would consider art. And she brings in different people from the community, and she and I already knew each other. So she has brought me in to teach iPhone classes.
Charleston Community?
Charleston Creative Community, I believe. It's very long.
And that's on Instagram.
Yes.
Charleston Creative Community. I see it. Yep, I followed it as soon as I saw it. Okay, cool.
So yeah, we like I said, since it's so new, and I didn't teach with them the first month they had classes, but every month after. And we were going to take a little summer hiatus, but she's also worked in some summer things. So I think this weekend we haven't really talked about it or promoted it. Maybe I should be doing that right now. Anyway, so this Saturday morning, sunrise, I'm teaching a class outside. We're meeting, I think, at Waterfront Park, and I'm going to teach like lighting, posing. So this is
on the iPhone or any camera?
No, any camera.
June 10th.
Yes. And I think
hopefully we'll release this podcast before then, and people will see it and hear about it.
I really do need to look and see what time it starts. That's how busy my calendar is right
now.
now.
Sunrise is normally, I guess, around 6, so you have to kind of probably be there.
I wasn't hard and fast that it had to start at 6. I've got it down for 8 a.m. now.
Oh.
Maybe it's at 8 a.m. because that was a compromise for people who can't get out of bed too early, but it's still early light.
But knowing you will be there before sunrise.
Yeah. That is how that works.
Is the sun rising this Sunday, or is it going to be cloudy? I mean, it is rising.
The sun is always rising.
The sun is always rising. Are you going to have the sunrise view?
I am going to coordinate a mildly cloudy sunrise.
There you go.
So that we can get color, but not be obscure from the light.
You're going to order that, and it's sure enough, you're going to have...
I've got the touch.
Yep. And you bring the sun always,
right? I do.
Right?
And dolphins and rainbows and everything magical.
Unicorns. That's awesome. So through this collaboration, you are teaching iPhone classes, and then you're doing other things too outside of that. Like you're offering mentoring sessions, photo sessions,
right.
Photo tours. Is that
and
right?
I've always, I wouldn't call it a photo tour. It kind of ends up being that.
Okay.
But it organically just happened when I would meet people who'd say, hey, I'd really love to learn what you know. Could you give me a lesson? And I was like, okay, I'll just put it together. It's very inexpensive because really I just love teaching. I'm at that age, Virgil, where I want my life to be more about leaving a legacy than leaving a great photo album. So teaching younger photographers or teaching moms or teaching friends, whoever, how to use their camera makes me feel really accomplished more than getting a great photo myself.
Right.
Like, I just love seeing that success, that learning curve. So, yeah. And I'll teach people wherever they are. If they're experts already and they want to learn flash better or editing better,
right,
do that. If they've never picked up a real camera, we start there.
So what are the ages of people reaching out to you?
Every age. I have some moms sending their kids to me. You know, they'll reach out and say, my daughter has a love of learning for photography. Can you teach her camera? I bought her a camera for Christmas. Sure. Then I have retired people. I have everything in between. I have people who really just need to learn to take photos of, say, their artwork because they're artists. Teach me how to get a great shot of my art so I can put it up on my website.
Are these people, so these are private kind of lessons? Are they group or?
Always one-on-one in that situation.
Okay. Aside
from the Charleston Creative Community, I just do one-on-one. I'm kind of a one-on-one type person.
Yeah. I think I
like
love that
intimate.
better than the workshops. For some reason, it just feels so weird. I don't know, for me.
And
It's
I do
so hard to
think
prepare
people-
for a workshop, but with one-on-one, I think people get more out of it, don't you think?
Definitely. In a workshop, sometimes you'll have people afraid to ask questions because they're afraid what they might look like next to someone who knows more.
Yeah.
And then it's as a putting out the content, trying to figure out who knows what and reach all of them. But with one-on-one, it's just about them, whatever they need.
Yeah. How would people reach out to you, Graham, if they want to do a one-on-one?
These days, most people do find me on Instagram.
So do they just DM you or email
Yeah.
you, or how does it work nowadays without?
DM. Sometimes, I mean, I still get emails, lots of emails from people who've gotten my contact info from someone else. I do a very poor job, Virgil. Maybe you could redo my website.
Maybe?
I have not touched my website, looked at it. I'm not sure if it still works. That is sad, but I'm very busy, so
I am very empathetic of it. I posted something on Twitter the other day. I was like, it just dawned on me that I haven't touched my website since 2013.
Okay, I need to get like a high five.
Yes.
Okay, Virgil.
You know,
me and you.
I mean, life is
you're
just so
busy,
busy.
right?
But I'm busy. And somebody commented and said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I mean, that's it.
But what's the thing is, this goes back to what you said about legacy and photos that we create. I think when you get to a certain point that you are creating timeless, classic photos,
Mm-hmm.
that people will not know when you took that. You know, the photos are timeless, that you don't really need. I mean, I don't want to tell people don't update your website.
Right.
But at a certain point in our careers, I think we are comfortable with our own skin and our work. And
we're not chasing trends any longer.
Exactly.
And I think, see, you embody that more than I do. I've decided to be me, unapologetically me. And I've been doing this long enough that I used to try and please every client that came through my door and be the photographer they dreamed of. And then I realized that wasn't for me, because I wasn't truly happy putting myself into a little box for them.
Right.
So I'm going to be me, and if they like it, they'll want me. If they don't, that's okay too.
Right.
I'm not offended by that.
Right.
But that took some maturing to get to that point.
Finding that voice,
Mm-hmm.
finding that comfortability, I can't even say that word, but finding that place
Mm-hmm.
is hard. And I think it happens over time, don't you think?
Yeah.
I don't want to say it happens over age, but I feel like when
It
I was
will,
25, 26, I was like, I'm going to change oh, that's a cool trend. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to copy that. But now it's like, for me, it's photographing what matters most, I think. And
Right. Chasing, instead of trends, I think you and I both do this. We chase the emotion, the moment, the light. You know, what we're feeling, they must be feeling. And if we can capture what it makes us feel like, then their kids and grandkids are going to feel like that too when they see it.
right. Yeah.
And it'll have nothing to do with the trend of, I don't know, the resurgence of film, the different edits, the stylistic stuff that dates
What
it.
camera?
Yeah, none of that.
None of that.
And I know that was on your list. You wanted to ask me about my gear. I'm so not concerned. Like, I'm that person who can drive a beater car because it does not matter to me. It doesn't matter. My camera, does it work? Is it giving me good images? Cool. What kind is it? Oh, I forget. But if it breaks, I'll get a new one.
Right. What's funny is every great photographer that I know, when I ask that question, it's like the least thing that they talk about. Like, they don't care. I mean, I think they know technically a little bit what they're looking for, but
Mhm.
it doesn't matter.
Once they get it, they're not thinking of or obsessing like, look what I'm carrying around. It doesn't identify
Look how many
me.
megapixels.
No.
Or
I'll have
JPEG
a guest
or RAW.
at a wedding say, oh, I have that very same camera. And I'm like, cool.
Right.
Like, for me, it's not a competition.
It's not. And what preset you're using.
Now see, that brings up something else. I've had a few people recently tell me that I should start selling presets for my edits because they do have a certain look to them. And I thought about it. It's not an organic place for me to be, to like overthink that kind of stuff and then try to market it and sell it. It's like way out of my comfort zone.
Right.
But if it could help people, then that would be in my comfort zone because I'm all about that. Anyway, so that's on the
You
back
do.
burner.
That was actually my other question. When I look at your feed, it's like you have a very consistent color. And I don't know what you're doing.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's a trade secret, but I'm the same way.
It's not.
When you get to a certain...
And it's not a filter.
Right, yeah. When
It's just me. It's the
just
way
you.
I see
It's
things.
just the way you see things. It's your voice.
And you know the color of light changes in every scenario that we're in. So to me, one filter is not going to take you to the same result. And that's why I don't rely on them. There are a few filters inside of Visco that I will use after I've edited a picture if I feel like it needs a little extra something on Instagram. But no, like, you know what you like. I know what color green should look like to me.
So let's talk about a little tactical. I know we hate talking about technical here, but technical advice on that. So before you post on Instagram, you take a photo, obviously, either your phone, your camera, and then what do? Put it on Lightroom.
So if I take it on my phone, it stays on my phone for all the edits.
And then you use Visco app.
Yeah, there's occasionally if there's an object that I need to get rid of, like one every 100 pictures, I'll use the Retouch app. And it does a pretty good job of like magic cloning, the
on
spot.
the phone.
But Visco,
Retouch app. Okay.
And then Visco is my primary editing for all of my phone pictures. And then I frame them. So for my feed to look the way I want it to, I put a tiny little white frame around the photos so that none of them are lost when you open up the main page.
Through Visco.
No, that I use. Let me look.
Because I do the same thing. I use Square Ready.
Yeah. Well, see, and you post square images, and that fits your format of pictures that you're also taking. And since I'm taking, 2 to 3 ratio. Okay, InstaSize is what I use. The app is InstaSize, and I just add a 5-point white border, and then it shows up in my feed the way I want it to.
Okay.
So for me, it's simple, like boom, boom.
Right.
Done.
What's the go-to Visco preset, or do you just make adjustment or exposure?
So I do have a few go-tos.
Okay.
Let me open that up. A6 is one that I routinely use for like anything indoor, like coffee table settings. If I want a flat white contrast, that's it. It gives you an editorial flat white contrast, not too saturated. If I'm doing landscape, sunsets, marsh, then I do want the colors to be vivid, not overdone, not fake, just vivid. So there's an L series. I think L4 or L6 is my go-to in there.
Okay.
And
are you like me where I don't use 100%?
I don't use the whole thing.
Right. So I'll just do a dab of 20%, 30%.
I will almost always touch the temperature of the color and adjust that, and the brightness and the contrast. So those are sorry about that. I like to elevate the brightness a little, but I don't like to lose my shadows.
Cool.
So that's my style. It's bright, but still realistic.
Cool. Perfect. Do you do Instagram scheduling, or are you
No.
pretty much instant?
I'm so organic. That is my word.
I'm the same way.
I don't overthink anything. If it feels like a good thing to do, I'm going to do it. And my followers are super good about reminding me that I've been missing for a little while. They will message me, Kim, are you okay? We haven't seen your face in 3 days. Are you feeling okay?
They're tuning in. And that's one thing about Instagram stories. I have a good friend that I'm hoping to bring her in the show too, Jennings King. I don't know if you watch her, but I tune in on Bride Tip Tuesdays, and I hear people tune in as well. Like,
oh, wow.
When you start really on a regular, consistent basis of being on there, people are following you, and they know when you come on.
Agree.
They know that you come on in the morning, or they know when you come on at night. It's hard for me because I live a very boring life. I'm either taking my kids. It's either my kids, me. My Saturdays are pretty fun, so you can usually tune in on every Saturday, and I'm at a wedding.
And when you're at a wedding, hello, I've never seen a photographer on the dance floor any more than you, Virgil.
Right.
I'm the wallflower. No,
I
mingle. I try to be invisible. Virgil's like, no, look at me. Look at my moves.
It makes the night go by a little faster when you're dancing, and it's a little bit more fun.
We're opposite that way. I think you are definitely an extrovert.
And then I'm also so tired by the time like 9 o'clock rolls around. It's like, I gotta dance, or I'm gonna fall asleep, or I'm just gonna like my feet hurt. It just makes the time go by fast. So I'm glad you're watching those. They're pretty entertaining.
Yes, you are.
All right, real quick again, technical info on the Lightroom side.
Okay, the Lightroom side. So if I'm shooting with my camera, like I said, on the way to a shoot, out of a shoot, my personal body of work that happens around my client work, I separate those into 2 folders when I get home. I usually pull mine in first. Sorry, clients. That's the way that works. I'll pull mine in first so I can grab that Instagram shot and put a quick edit on it in Lightroom. And it's usually very simple, very simple. When I look at my pictures, I want them to look real. I don't want them to look edited. I just want them to look clean and bright and beautiful. That's it. That's my goal.
Right.
And if it was a little too yellow that day, I'll, take some of that warmth off. If I feel like that sunset looked different, I'm going to add something back into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Any particular presets that you like that your go-to?
Now, I do own the whole set of Visco Lightroom film presets. They're really good.
But are you like me where I own it, but
Yeah.
I don't really use it, but maybe sometimes I'll use it, but still tweak it, and
Yeah.
then that's what I did on mine. Is all right, I like that, but I'm gonna tweak it, adjust shadows, and then that's my go-to. Like,
Right. So
but it took a while to
it,
really.
It does take a while to make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard people talk about it. The quality of light that we have here is so different from the West Coast.
So different.
And most of the people who develop presets, for whatever reason, don't live in this area.
They don't. They live in Seattle or in California.
We have neon yellow green. I mean, that is our normal. So you've got to figure out, what do you want it to look like? Because, it also casts like tones on skin. So if we're shooting out in a garden, I don't want my people to be looking neon yellow green.
Right.
So skin tone, if I'm shooting people, that is way my priority right there, is to get realistic skin tones that are flattering. And then everything else, I adjust around that.
Right. That's a good point. That's a very good point. So tell me a little bit about what are the clients that you're working with now? When I first heard about you, you were shooting a lot of weddings, and I don't really.
And I don't as much.
Yeah. So tell me about what.
I'm so happy about that. Sorry, Virgil. No, I shoot like maybe 10 big weddings a year. And then I shoot dozens of elopements and small weddings. I have a friend who is the concierge at the Belmont, and we are like really good friends. And he is an officiant as well. And I'm his go-to person. And you know how that works when you get a relationship with a planner and you work with them all the time.
Right.
And I used to have that kind of relationship with Luke Wilson. We had an office space together years ago, and he was booking all these big giant weddings. But that was also back when I was trying to be everyone's photographer instead of just being me. So I worked hard. I didn't sleep much. I would sum up my 30s as didn't sleep and shot, I don't know, I probably shot 100 weddings a year. I mean, it was insane. I would shoot 3 weddings in a weekend and keep doing that. And when do you edit that? All night long, every day.
Wow.
So that couldn't last forever. This body was falling apart. And then I went through a divorce, and I needed to readjust my time and my focus. And so it just happened. I just had to start saying no. I just had to be unavailable because I was busy taking care of life. And as that happened, they found other people, and that could cause a lot of anxiety. Like, okay, so I'm not their favorite anymore. I'm not their go-to anymore. What am I going to do? How do I pay my bills? What does that look like for my business? But I'm also a person of great faith, and while I don't talk about it on every platform, all of my decisions are prayerful. So I pray about these things a lot, and I feel God brought me the clients and the friends and the network I needed to just shift in a way. So I still get to do weddings, which I love. But somehow, magically, all of my clients are my people. They're perfect for me. And I'm not stressed out about their weddings or about the work. Everything's great.
And that's what it's all about, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you go fall back in love with photography.
Yes.
Because I think in the beginning, for all of us, before you get into the wedding business, you fall in love with photography, doing what you love, and because you just love either creating or capturing or documenting. And then you get into weddings, and it's a whole new challenge. You still love photographing, but then there's a lot of aspects,
There's
variables.
business.
There's the business, there's customer service, there's happy and sometimes unhappy clients. There's some expectations sometimes that are meetable and sometimes are unrealistic.
Well, you see, you get published a lot, but I know what it takes to do that. It actually takes you putting forth the effort to put your material out there. They don't know magically what you've shot unless you submit it.
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And I tried for a brief time to be that person, and I was being published, and that felt good. But
you were everywhere.
then it just isn't me. Like, now, because you watch my IG stories, I am a quiet person. I like my interactions to be very intimate. And I can handle big weddings, but my go-to is not like, hey, yay, I want to be on the newsstand and I want to like go have meetings and PR myself to death. I can't. Like, I don't care if anybody likes me.
I don't know about that.
It's hard to make money
I-
if nobody knows who you are, though. But now that I've been here long enough, the locals know who I am. And because I love architecture, people who need architecture shots find me. And because I love what I do and I have been uninhibited about loving what I love, I have got my people now.
That's important. And it's such a different industry now when compared to, I don't know when you started your business, but I started my business in 2004. When was it?
1999.
1999. So you were
I was
5 years
shooting
ahead of
film
me.
before film was popular.
Right? Yeah. So 1999 and then leading up to mid 2000s to like 2010 to 2015 to now 2018. It's like night and day PR marketing work. And now I feel like it's a lot more work with many different platforms to get your work out there.
Well, and two, I saw at least, I started with film because that's what it was. And I developed my own. I did all of this stuff. And then digital came around and I waited for it to be a higher quality so I could jump in. And then my business really did start when the not.com started. It really did. So social media was new. Film was old. And so this is what it looked like. Magazines were a thing. People picked them up and perused them. Now we're seeing digital take over everything. And so paper is kind of making its way out. So that also affects us. Like, so you go, what platforms are people using most? And that's why I've got Facebook, I've got Twitter, I've actually got a website, I think. But
I looked at it the other day, actually.
you know more about it than I do then. So, but I can't.
Oh, you still have weddings on there.
What do you know? I was probably using a filter back then or something. But I don't have time to be in all these places, and I don't have a team. I am a single business person. I do it myself. I kind of like that. Very type A.
Yeah.
So Instagram is where the majority of me goes.
Right.
And that's been working for me.
And it's such a pain to update websites now, and I feel like
And people
it's
pay
secondary
people to
now.
do it now.
Yeah. Do you think that? I mean, I feel like our Instagram feed is more of our primary source of info as far as people looking up what's the latest that what we've done.
And the latest is our current society. Everything that you look at now,
Right.
it's all instant gratification.
Yeah.
They want to know what's happening today. And I've looked at stats before when I taught an Instagram class to see how people use it. And I realized that the people who view my stories are a vastly different group than the people who go through my feed and like the pictures. There is some crossover, but like the Snapchat crowd is the Instagram story crowd.
Right.
They don't really care about that one pretty picture I'm going to post. They want to see what the heck I'm doing today.
Yes.
That's really what they want to see.
Are you on Snapchat?
I have it because I have kids, but I don't use it because I have kids. I mean, I'll occasionally go look and see.
I'm on there, but I'm trying to be a practitioner because I know the 15-year-olds and younger are going to be on there one day. I'm 21.
Okay, my church family and my real family follow me on Instagram, so you will never see anything too crazy on my Instagram stories. I remember the first time my oldest said, "Mom, I can see your cleavage. Take it down." I was mortified.
Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh. So I'm so conscious now about like making sure it's covered.
You have to keep it PG.
He's like, "Mom, all my friends say you're the hot mom."
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's go back to the Instagram conversation. So that's so interesting that you see. I see it too on my end. The people that are watching stories versus feed, there's a crossover, but sometimes people just watch stories, and sometimes more. I guess less people are looking at the feed, but they're still looking at it as a form of what's your website, what's your work like, versus hey, let's go to kimgrahamphoto.net or .com. Isn't that very interesting? How that's just.
I think so.
And so it's important that for the people out there that are just kind of getting into new Instagram, or they're lazy to post on Instagram, it's important to post your current work or whatever you're up to, right?
I have mentored some young photographers, and recently all of my conversations have included this topic. and that it's not enough to post your work. And be careful about how much you do post, because people who overpost kind of like I don't know, it bugs me.
Right.
Like if you shot a session, I don't want to see 100 shots of that session show up in your feed.
Right.
You know, your curated feed. Like a couple of good shots spread out is enough.
There's a psychological aspect to it.
It just feels like overwhelming.
Yes, and you're not the first one that said I feel like that, and I think a lot of people feel like that.
Like if I want to immerse myself into this session, send me a link. And if I feel like it, I'll go there.
Yes.
Like if that's what I want to see.
Right.
But people are looking for highlights
Right.
and variety. And so when I'm really tired, just so tired, I'm going to go through people's stories because it satisfies a different part of my tired, I don't want to think brain.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm feeling creative and looking for creativity and just looking to interact with people, I'll go into my curated feed and go and like people's pictures.
So let's talk about stories. Do you watch video? Do you like video best? Photo? What do you like best on people's stories?
If someone has more than like 15 stories posted in a day, I swipe right over it.
Right, right.
I can't.
So how does that work, though? What's the psychological part of that? So what if you have, let's say, 15 or 24, and you're posting a lot, but it's because it's a 24-hour thing,
Yeah.
and it disappears. Do you just take a break one day so that way I feel like I take a break one day so that way my story is empty, and then I start over, and then take a break. Does that make sense? So I'm not constantly having stories. I feel like that's what I'm doing.
I don't think that's as necessary as like what is at any given moment the total number of stories. Like, do you feel like work?
Right.
I'm being very honest here.
No.
If I open, when I'm going through mine, you know how you can swipe over? There are certain accounts I follow just for their pictures. Maybe their Instagram stories don't really intrigue me.
Right.
They're not personal people in my life. They're like somewhere else. They're photographers or something somewhere else.
Right.
And I really just want to see their real body of work.
Right.
So I will swipe over their stories because they post a lot of pictures of, I don't know, a Slurpee they just bought or something weird.
Right.
Like, I don't care.
Something that you don't relate to. And this is just, we're talking about just the psychological part. And this is just probably not you and not me either. I do the same thing.
I'm much more likely to watch the stories of the people I know.
Gotcha.
That is.
That you have personal relationship with.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Like you.
Right.
Because I know what I'm going to get and I care. I'm more likely to watch stories of people in Charleston because I love this city and I always want to know what's going on. Am I missing anything? I guess a little FOMO gets involved in that. I want to make sure I'm on top of it.
Right.
Because I do love being engaged in this city and the culture here.
Right.
There have been some times I've watched the stories and it was just a few minutes old and I realized there was something I needed to go see.
Right.
Whatever that was.
Yes.
And I could hop in my car and go.
Yes.
So that's cool.
And that's why I love watching your stories, because you're always in a cool place. I'm like, where is that? And sometimes I'll message you like, where is that? Like, I got to know. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, that's beautiful.
And
but
I'll tell you.
Yeah. And there's some places like that long dock that you had that one time.
Yes.
I still haven't been there. I want you to take me there one day. But gosh, that's like definitely on my Charleston bucket list.
It's a beautiful place. Like I said, though, it's a private dock in a neighborhood.
That's gorgeous. I think I saw a couple other people.
Sometimes I trespass, Virgil.
I do.
It's really hard to pass that information out. Hey, you want to trespass with me?
I have done, I must admit, the same thing. Like in the Edisto area, sometimes I get so scared because people there are everywhere around here have guns, and as long as I bring my camera and.
Virgil, you look like somebody who needs to be shot.
Well, yeah. Well, I try to address myself like somebody who doesn't deserve to be shot.
No camo.
Tell me about you have an Etsy shop.
I do.
Okay.
So that just happened because I had so many people DM me about wanting to buy a print of something I just posted on Instagram.
Right.
I'm like, how do I make this work? And so
how do you manage all that with all the posts, with all the photos that you have? Do you put all of them on Etsy?
No.
And what's your Etsy account? What's the name?
I think it's Etsy.com/Kim Graham Photo.
Okay.
I
Just
think so.
search Kim Graham Photo.
I think that's what it
It
is.
should. Yeah, it's easy search. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a link to it in my bio in my Instagram.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, how do you know what to put on there? How often do you update it?
It is usually by request. So sometimes when I get a picture that I've posted on Instagram, and I gotten a lot of comments from people who say, I love this picture, I'm going to want to buy this, I just go ahead and put it on my shop.
Okay.
Or if I have somebody message me and say, I'd love to buy this picture, I put it in my shop to make it easier for them to purchase it.
Okay. It's a lot of work to maintain it.
Sometimes it feels like it, but literally it takes me about 10 minutes to sit down and put that picture in my in my Etsy shop.
Gotcha.
So that's not too bad.
That's not so bad.
And I have, I've been filling print orders for, since prints were invented, because I'm that old. So I have a system that's so easy for filling prints. I upload them, I use Millers, and I just upload and have it shipped directly to my client.
Drop ship it.
Yeah, I used to have it shipped to me. I would sign them and then reship them, but I'm paying shipping twice. It takes twice as long for the client to
You
get
have to
it.
unpack it. That's the
Yeah,
worst.
it
Get rid of the
really
box.
is. But, a few of my clients will specifically ask me to sign the prints, and I'll do that. But these days, for the sake of expedition, I just drop ship.
There should be an extra charge if they want you to sign it.
But then everyone's going to go, I don't want to tell them what they're missing.
Right? Yeah.
Don't want to remind them.
Tell me a little bit about, and this goes on the personal side of things, a lot of challenges of being an entrepreneur, being a businesswoman, being a single parent, a woman in this industry. Well, how does it affect you in your decisions in everyday, day-to-day business? What are the challenges? I know for me, it's a juggling act. I have to take my kids to baseball practice, to gymnastics, and Claire's here in my office right now because it's summer, and babysitting and work, editing, clients texting in the middle of the night, emails, editing, more editing, shooting, balancing.
You're stressing me out, Virgil.
Right? What?
But that's real life right there.
That's life, right?
That's
Is
real
it just, am I just weird, or this is
No.
did we just make our bed and we're sleeping in it, or what can we do?
I actually feel more empathy for you than relate. Like, this is not currently my problem, because I'm in a season of life where life has gotten easier. But when I started my photography, I literally had a baby who is now 18 years old. So I have had all those seasons while running a business. And there were seasons where, while I was married, my poor husband then was mom. And I was trying so hard, and I always felt pulled. Like, my kids don't get enough of me. My clients don't get enough of me. It was really hard. And I certainly didn't sleep enough. I told you that already. Then my boys moved away 3 years ago. And it's been the hardest thing as a mother to do. But it's probably been the best thing for my business, because there's more time to do everything else. And Gracie is that easy child. She doesn't want to play hockey or do gymnastics or anything. She really doesn't. She wants to play with the neighbors. She wants to go with me. She's very independent. She's the perfect companion. I call her an assistant. So she's been going with me to certain types of shoots since she was born.
I saw that, and she was in one of the architectural shoots or real estate shoots that you were doing. And she said she was going to save all of her money.
And buy the house we were shooting.
Yes.
I'm like, good luck, girl. She started with, I'm going to work really hard. And I'm like, girl, you may not have just meant that, but your mama works hard, and I don't have the money to buy this house. It's possible to work hard and not afford this big giant house. Anyway.
Still working hard. That's a start.
Working hard is a good goal. Anyhow. Yeah, so she's gone with me, and she has this beautiful sense of self. She very early understood it's time for you to be quiet and be helpful and not be in the way. She knows which side of the camera to be on. I can just tell her, I need this prop. Would you go help that baby smile? I'd take her on family shoots because families always appreciated it. And back then, I felt like, oh, that's not very professional. People are going to think, oh, why has she got her kid with her? So I struggled with that, and now I let them know ahead of time. If you want her there, she's there. I have clients come into town every year, and they say, can Gracie be there, please? Like, they ask for her.
That's awesome.
Because she brings out something in their kids.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
Instead of feeling burdened by it now, I feel like it's such a blessing.
Yeah.
But Virgil, I'm in a season where, no, I don't have all those other things. I do have housework and cleaning, and I'm a single parent, yes. but I can leave her at home if I need to. I used to have to get sitters, and it was a circus.
Right.
Because imagine it rains and your client needs to reschedule and you've already got a sitter lined up and now you have to do it again. I mean, all the things you have to get in place just to go do a simple little shoot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was hard.
That's awesome that you mentioned the word season, and it's a phase that everyone goes through. It's different for some people that don't have a family and don't have kids, and they can pour all their hours and time and resources and effort in their business and photography. But when people that have families and kids, it's doable, but it ain't easy. Yeah.
And it's, I think, that balance was hardest to strike when I was wedding focused, because obviously they don't have children.
Right.
And they're young.
Right.
And that need for me to balance was not something that I could expect a lot of empathy from them.
Yeah.
So that was a hard balance.
Yeah. We're gonna switch a little bit of gear here. I read a quote this morning when I was preparing for our meeting. And tell me what you think about this. We're all so frightened by time, the way it moves on, the way things disappear. That's why we're photographers. We're preservationists by nature. We take pictures to stop time, to commit moments to eternity. Human nature made tangible.
That's beautiful.
So that was, from what I read, that was from the movie Kodachrome on Netflix by Ed Harris. What do you think about that? Does that
to
resonate?
make human nature tangible. When I think about the photographer's work, who I really want to see, it is always old, because I want to see how people lived. I want to see the emotions. I want to see even the difficulties of their life. I want to see what life looked like then as opposed to now. Hopefully what I capture will, do that for someone. I try to focus on the joys of life. That's what I like. But when I'm moved, it's usually by people who have captured the trials of life. So old black and white photos of people in clothes that we don't wear anymore, with problems that we can't usually relate to anymore, like war.
Right. Plague.
The Great Depression.
Yeah.
Things like that. They move me. And not just art, but they move me about people.
Right.
So I do what I do because I'm just compelled.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make a name for myself or create, I don't know. I'm not in it for that reason. Like if you told me I had won the lottery, don't have to be a photographer anymore, I couldn't put my camera down. I walk around going, oh my goodness, I wish I had my camera. Look at that person sitting there. I love seeing old people holding hands and walking in the park.
That gets me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like tears. And I want a picture. I love seeing uninhibited children being children.
Right.
Yeah, so these are the moments that I want to capture. And I don't care if anybody pays me for them or not. I need them.
I was thinking about the same thing the other day. If I was a billionaire, I don't think I'd ever put my camera down if there will be time. Like people ask me all the time, will you ever stop? I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'll slow down shooting weddings when I'm 60, but I don't think I'll ever stop being a photographer. That's pretty awesome. So you're in a good place. We are, we're actually going to the end of our show, but I want to ask you one more question. You mentioned earlier you're in a good place right now as far as your career, your photography, your voice, what you like, and you don't have to keep up with trends and presets, and you know what you like, and you just stay consistent. So for people out there that are listening, that are new and want to dive into photography, and they're still trying to figure out what they want to do, whether they want to shoot weddings or they want to shoot architecture or food, or there's just so many genres. What advice, tactical or just general advice, that you want to give them? What can you give them? How do they make it? How do they go out there and just do? What advice can you give them coming from you, since you've been around for a while?
If you want to make it a career, then I would say, there's a saying, I can't remember it, like, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. If you're going to make something a career and you're an artist, you may not always get the recognition or the pay that you deserve, but if you really do what you love, it's going to be okay. So if you're doing what you love, just go do it. You will meet the people you need along the way. Do it for free at first. Do it for lower pay. Be willing to bend yourself in certain shapes if you're doing what you love. And then be kind. Give. Give as much as you get. I think I have gotten, I'm not rich, but I'm happy. My expectations are low, and therefore every day I'm blown away by what I have. And I'm grateful. And I think being open, being kind, it opens doors. People want to be around a good vibe.
Right.
So if you come at them all hungry and competitive and knocking people over to get to the top, that'll come back and get you. Be a helper. Be a colleague. Be a friend. That will build relationships that you can bank on as a career later on.
Right. That's great advice.
Thanks.
In such a very competitive world and a very competitive market and industry, that's a good advice.
Because
awesome.
People want Virgil, don't they?
Yeah.
And they don't want you because your style is similar to someone else they were looking at. They have to want you because you are very much a unique personality. You bring you to the game. And I don't think people hire you because they've just seen your images. When I look at you, I see so much of you. Like, you're always you. And that's what people get with me too. I have people who want me to photograph their stuff. They've never even seen my work. They just know me. So that's a little concerning sometimes, like, will they like my work? But if they're willing to hire me because they just want to work with me that bad, that's also a great big compliment.
Right. And I think that's a different type of market nowadays because people trust the face, the brand, and that's why it's so hard to replicate and put our business to scale because they want Kim Graham.
And anyone can put their best of photos out there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't tell you what you're getting. How will this relationship feel? Will it be a long, painful one, just to get a couple of good images?
And that's also probably why it's hard to have a very successful associate wedding business.
Yes. Well, we wedding photographers don't get to work together.
Right.
We don't get to hang out because we're doing the same thing somewhere different.
Yeah. That's a good advice. That's I see a lot of I get emails where people ask for advice, and I think definitely doing what you love is number one because you are more than you're going to be working for a long time, and if you're not doing what you love, it's going to be miserable. It's a long day, and
it's a long day.
Yeah. So
and
that's awesome.
Paychecks for me just aren't enough to make up for that.
Right. Yeah.
Especially if you're working so hard you don't have time to spend it.
I know. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming. And like kind of mentioned earlier, the last 10 seconds, I'm going to just let you just promote whatever you got going on, any projects, website, Instagram, let's do it. Go for it.
You've done a great job already. So yeah, I live on my Instagram. If you want to see me daily, that's where I'm at, Kim Graham Photo. And I have an Etsy shop linked to it. So if you want to buy anything you see on there, I sell them. I love to work with people, whatever. And I love Charleston. So if you love Charleston, hit me up. And we could even just like hang out and shoot together or something.
And you teach mentoring sessions and courses.
Yes. I really just want to be around nice people. So if you're not nice, please don't call me.
I think I have that on my website. If you're not nice, please don't email me. Thank you so much for coming. It's always such a pleasure to see you, to be here. I wish you continued success with everything.
Thank you. And you too, Virgil. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
This is my idea of community. This is a great way to build community in our industry. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you guys for listening. Again, check out Kim Graham Photo on Instagram. This is Conversations Over Sweet Tea. I think we have some more people lined up in the next few weeks. So stay tuned. We've got some really, really awesome people coming up. So thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.